Hey everyone, this is Brian Funk. I want to tell you about my new Ableton Live pack called 4-Track. 4-Track has 44 Ableton Live instrument rack presets, and they're all made from analog synths that I've recorded to my 4-track cassette recorder. That gives each one of the sounds of the analog synths a little extra tape character, some saturation, a little bit of tape hiss, and it brings them to life in a special kind of way, and you're hearing some of those sounds right now. Each of the presets has 17 different macro controls with audio effects to help make your sound fit exactly how you need it to in your next production. You can get this pack at my store at brianfunk.com/store, or you can get it by joining my Music Production Club. It's the current download right now during the month of October 2021. And the Music Production Club gets you access to all kinds of great stuff that I've created over the years, including some Ableton Live material, samples, educational material, our online community, and of course, our current download, which is 4-Track. You can join the club for free for your first month. The Music Production Club is a great way to keep yourself inspired and with new stuff to make music all the time. You can join the Music Production Club at brianfunk.com/MPC. Welcome to the Music Production Podcast, the show about all things making music. If this is your first time here, we talk about anything related to making music. Often I have guests on from all kinds of areas in the music industry. We have lots of great discussions about anything that really pertains to making music. And sometimes I like to talk by myself about some things I'm going through, some problems I'm having, challenges I'm trying to overcome, philosophies that help me along the way, and sometimes it's psychological things that we can use to help us produce music, because music is a very mental thing. I mean, we have to really overcome a lot of mental hurdles to get our music done. It's kind of mind-blowing to me how deep it goes on the mental side of things. And I wanted to talk about a psychological phenomenon that I think applies to how we learn when we're making music. And if we are aware of it, it can help us make better music. And that is the Dunning-Kruger Effect. The Dunning-Kruger Effect explains how we learn things and how our confidence changes over time as we learn. So we start off, of course, not knowing anything and we have no confidence in it. But as we begin to learn about a given topic and we get the first few things out of the way, we grow extremely quickly in our confidence. We get this feeling like we totally get how to do it. There's an overinflation of confidence because we started from zero, now we got somewhere, and we think we understand this thing. And the problem is that we have underestimated the depth and difficulty. As we move along in our learning journey, we start to see the subtleties. We start to see how deep it really goes. And we lose confidence pretty quick. And for a little while along this process, our confidence dips pretty drastically because we feel like there's just so much to learn and we don't really know anything yet. As we continue along the journey, though, and we do learn more and we learn about the subtleties and the little tiny things and details that go into it, our confidence then comes back up. But it's never quite going to reach that level of that beginner, that like overconfident, because as we become better and better at something, mastering it, becoming experts or whatever, we sort of understand that this is a really complicated subject. So we're not going to just be super confident in what we believe. We know that it's loaded with all kinds of depth and variables. So our confidence is there, but it's more reserved. And that's because our experience has taught us that there's a lot of depth to this subject. Now, you may be experiencing this with music production. I know I did for sure. When we first start learning a few things, we feel really great and really confident, and we get it, and we seem to think it's easy. And then, of course, as we learn more, we listen to more music, we pay attention to what other producers do. That drops drastically, and I know that happened for me. It went down really far, where it almost seemed like I should give up. And I think a lot of people do give up at that stage when they realize just how deep something gets. It becomes overwhelming. But then you stick with it, and you start to understand how things work, and you get better and better at it. And I think I'm at a place now where I feel pretty good with my production, but I also know it goes so deep and there's so many details and so many factors in how our music sounds that I'm always approaching it with caution. And I just understand how hard it is. It's extremely difficult, but that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it exciting. When I was learning guitar as a kid, I went through this very clearly. I learned a few things on guitar and I felt like a real hotshot. I could play a lot of the songs that I heard on the radio and I was doing great. And I was filled with confidence. And I would start to hear music and think like, oh, well, that's not a great guitar player because listen to how they play it. It's not hard what they're playing. And a lot of my judgments on guitar players had to do with how fast they could play. I wasn't seeing the subtleties and the little details that go into things like tone, vibrato, and just note choice and melodies. So I was missing a big part of the picture. And then as I went along on my journey, I could really start to pick up on that stuff. And I started to notice the details that made guitarists great that I wasn't aware of. And it shot my confidence down quite a lot. And I find myself now, after 25 plus years of playing guitar, that I feel pretty good, but I also know that like there's still so far to go and so much to learn. So there's a confidence, but there's also this reservation to it. This might sound a little familiar if you know about the 4 stages of competence. It's another kind of like thing about the way we learn psychologically. And it starts out, the first stage is we don't know about the skill, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know it and we don't know what we don't know. So it's this complete ignorance about the topic. Then we start to see how far it goes. We realize what we don't know. So we become aware of what we don't know. Then in the third stage, we're able to do it, but it's still pretty difficult. So we kind of know what's going on, but it takes a lot of effort and concentration. And the fourth stage is when things sort of become automatic and subconscious, where we can do the thing without really thinking about it. I guess if you think about riding a bike, when you first see someone riding a bike, I guess it just looks like you get on the thing and you pedal. But then you go into the second stage when you try to do it and you fall off immediately. Then the third stage is perhaps when you're on your training wheels and you're kind of doing it, but you realize how far it is and you got to concentrate a lot. And then by the fourth stage, you don't even think about it. You just get on the bike and you've almost forgotten all the depth and detail that went into it because you're able to do it so smoothly. This is a great thing to keep in mind as we're going through our music making journey, that we are going to go through these stages. And knowing this will help us from being blindsided by it and not giving up in frustration. It'll help us know the challenges of learning something new and the depth of which things go. It gives you an idea of where you stand along the process too. And I think it helps you keep an open mind because if you know this, you'll question your confidence. You'll question your lack of confidence. And you'll stay open to new ideas and realize that you can learn from just about anybody. It helps you not to be an elitist. I found when I was younger, there was a lot more snobbery that went around music making in my own life and in the people I played with. And as I get older, the minds seem much more open because I think everybody sort of sees how deep it goes and understands how good some people can get at music. And I don't hear people saying like this person or that artist sucks anymore, because even if you're not a fan of the music, you understand what kind of mastery it takes to get to that level. Keeps you from being like an elitist, I guess. It helps you know who to trust too, so you can see where people are in their own journey. And we're often fooled very easily by other people's confidence. People come across as really confident and we think, wow, they must really know what they're talking about, and we believe it. It can help us question that, not get tricked by that kind of just blind confidence. It'll help us have new ways to explore. And I think it affects a lot of parts of our lives. I mean, for instance, these days, people get our news online. A lot of people will read an article or even just the headline and assume they know everything about the topic and make important decisions about that and influence other people on their social media accounts. And they're spreading information that they really don't know much about, but they think they're very confident about. It can help us recognize that and recognize it in ourselves when we're doing it. I think this is a helpful way to keep yourself encouraged. And it can comfort you if you keep this in mind, that if you are feeling a little down on your abilities, if you are feeling frustrated, if you're feeling like you've been doing this for a long time and there's still so far to go, this phenomenon is affecting you. You are probably moving along that little ladder. You're getting up in your abilities. And as you do, you realize how difficult things are. You've become more sensitive to the subtleties of this art of making music. So it's a good thing, really. If you are just blindly confident and you've been doing it for just a very short time, maybe question that. Maybe think to yourself, what is deeper? What am I missing? What are some of the aspects of this that I can learn that can help me get further along? And I think you will ultimately find yourself on a much smoother ride just knowing how this works. So that's the Dunning-Kruger Effect. It's an interesting phenomenon. I've seen it in my own life many times, and I bet if you look at some of the things you love to do in your life, you've probably recognized it as well. And as I said, if you're feeling frustrated or down, you've been producing music for X number of years and you feel like you're not getting anywhere or there's still so far to go, maybe you are actually getting somewhere, but it's your own recognition of the subtleties and the intricacies that go into this that is making you feel a little less confident. Just stick with it. You'll get through it and you'll move along and you'll recognize more subtleties and you'll learn about them and you'll learn how to incorporate it in your own production. So I hope that helps. I hope it comforts you a little bit. Just keep at it. It's a matter of the grind, putting in the time and just keep showing up. That's the secret. Nothing simple. It's just a matter of the effort you put in. Just like so many things, you get out what you put in. Thanks so much for listening. If you like the show, I'd love it if you could leave me a review wherever you get your podcasts, or just send an email, share it with a friend. That's even better, actually. Share it with a friend, someone you think that would enjoy it. I'd really appreciate that. And I thank you so much for sticking with me and listening to this. I hope you have a great day.